All right, we're going to start on the next chapter, and this chapter is chapter 5, and our first section is called Equivalent Ratios. Now, we kind of dipped our toes into ratios a couple sections ago, and we saw them. And this one's going to be pretty easy, too. We're just going to be remembering ratios and how they can kind of look like fractions, and talking about all the different ways that they will show up. So, equivalent, remember, does mean equal. And we usually use it when referring to, like, quantities or something like that. And when we write our ratio, we have a ratio. We would say a ratio is a relationship or comparison. It's a way that we can kind of say a rate. Often, if we're driving down the road, we would say miles per hour. That we could say is a ratio. And in this example that they use in the beginning, we're going to look at two girls that are having a reading challenge. Oops, spell things right. And Kayla has read, let's see, 8 weeks into school. She read 6 books. And Tori reads 3 books every 4 weeks. So the question is, who reads more? And we can see this as a ratio, and we're going to come back to that in just a moment. Let's look at all the different ways that we can write a ratio, and there are quite a bit of them. So say we're going to take Kayla's example of 8 weeks, she reads 6 books. So she reads 6 books every 8 weeks. I could write it like this. I could write it 6 to 8, or 6 of 8. You see it written a lot like that as well. You also see it as with a colon like this, 6 to 8. And you often see it, my favorite way, 6 to 8, and written as a fraction. And this is my favorite because once we have it in a fraction form, it's easy for us to do a lot of regular math on it and to switch it into forms because it kind of reminds us of all the things that we've been using with fractions before. So when I typically use ratios, I think about it in that fractional form so that I can manipulate it much easier. Okay, so let's take a look again at this reading challenge question. And I'm going to write both of what they did as a ratio. So Kayla read 6 books every 8 weeks. 6 books every 8 weeks. Tori reads 3 books every 4 weeks. Now notice that I did switch my 8 and my 6 around. I didn't write 8 weeks she reads 6 books because it doesn't make as much sense to me. I chose to make my unit as books per week, which I could say is my unit here, books per week. Because if I were to write this as weeks per book, I certainly could, but it wouldn't be as useful to me because I don't typically think of weeks in parts, whereas books I can think of easier in parts. So the question is, which girl reads more? Well, I should quickly see that if I were to write 6/8 and 3/4, and I'm trying to figure out which is bigger, they are equal because I can just multiply both sides of this by 2 and get 6/8. So I can see that clearly these girls are reading at the same rate. For one of them to win this competition, one of them's going to have to start reading some more books. For this section, most of the questions that you're going to come up with do look like what we just did. They're going to say something like, are the ratios 4 to 5 and 8 to 10 equivalent? Oh, let's do example 1. Make sure I'm on the page, okay? Are the ratios 4 to 5 and 8 to 10 equivalent? And the first thing that I would certainly do is write them as fractions because it's way easier. And I can either multiply this or see if I can simplify this. And I can definitely simplify this because I can divide the top and the bottom here by 2. So then I have 4/5. 8 divided by 2 is 4. Oops. Fifths. And I can definitely tell they are equal. So when they're equal, yes, they are equivalent. And that's going to be really the answer that I'm looking for. But I do want to see you do the work before you do it. If you get it, then go ahead and go on. I'm going to do 2 more examples. Let's see. Are these fractions equivalent? We have 5/6 and 20/30. All right, I'm going to go up to 30ths in this case, and I know that 6 times 5 is 30, so I'm going to multiply both of these by 5. So now I have 25/30 and 20/30. And these are definitely not equal. So they are not equivalent. So I'm just going to put a big no. Take one more example. I don't think these will be too difficult because they kind of remind me of the fractions that we were doing. 7 to 6, is it equal to 13 to 12? Okay, I'm going to write them as fractions first. 7/6 to 13 over 12. Okay, I'm going to double this one because this one looks like I can't even simplify it. So let's do times 2. I have 14/12. Is it equal to 13/12? It is not. The answer here would be no. Make sense? All right. Good luck and subscribe if you like it.